The wait is finally over because House of the Dragon Season 3 is no longer just something fans are hoping for in the distance. We officially have the new trailer. We know the next season is coming, and after the way Season 2 ended, this next chapter already feels like the one where everything finally explodes. House of the Dragon became so loved because it was never just about dragons. It was about grief, power, betrayal, bloodlines, and the slow destruction of a family that was always too dangerous to stay whole. And after Season 2, that feeling only got stronger. Because the finale did not give us one giant battle to close the season, it gave us something more dangerous. It gave us momentum. It gave us armies moving, alliances shifting, and war becoming unavoidable. HBO's Season 3 trailer now leans fully into that, with the showrunner calling the new season Total War, and HBO setting the premiere for June 21st, 2026. But before we get into Season 3, we have to remember what Season 2 actually left behind. The biggest thing the finale did was stop pretending that peace was still possible. By the end of Season 2, Daemon finally bends the knee to Rhaenyra again after his long and strange Harrenhal journey, which puts the Blacks in a much stronger position going into the war. At the same time, Alicent secretly goes to Dragonstone and tries to make a desperate arrangement with Rhaenyra, essentially offering her a path to take King's Landing in order to save Helena and stop even more bloodshed. That conversation changes everything, because it proves Alicent now understands that Aemond has become too dangerous to control, and that the realm is sliding into a disaster she can no longer manage. And that is exactly why the Season 2 ending felt so heavy. It was not about one shocking death at the end. It was about every side of this conflict finally moving into place. Rhaenyra leaves the season with more dragons, more support, and more certainty. Alicent leaves it with less power than ever. Aegon is fleeing and broken, Aemond is becoming more extreme, and the final montage makes it clear that fleets, armies, and dragons are all heading toward collision. Entertainment Weekly, The Hollywood Reporter, and other recaps all framed the ending as a giant setup chapter for the war that Season 3 is now ready to deliver. Now let's talk about what the Season 3 trailer is actually promising. The biggest word is simple: scale. The trailer makes it look like Season 3 is going much bigger, much bloodier, and much more brutal than what came before. It is filled with fire, battlefield imagery, ominous warnings, revenge-driven dialogue, and a much darker sense that nobody is coming out of this clean. Reports on the trailer also point to a major focus on the civil war fully breaking open, with Rhaenyra carrying more power than ever, Aegon driven by vengeance, and Alicent caught under the weight of everything her family has done. That all lines up with what fans expected after the Season 2 ending, but the trailer sells it in a much more direct way. This is no longer build-up. This is war. And honestly, one of the most exciting things in all the Season 3 reporting is that the show seems ready to finally pay off some of the storylines that Season 2 was clearly saving. One of the biggest is the Battle of the Gullet. Multiple outlets covering the trailer and the new season have pointed to this battle as a major early event in Season 3, and that makes perfect sense after how Season 2 ended with fleets already moving into place. If the show opens with or quickly moves into the Gullet, then Season 3 could start in a far more explosive way than Season 2 ended. That matters because one of the main complaints about the finale was that it felt like a long setup for battles the audience was still waiting to see. Season 3 looks like the answer to that criticism. Now let's get into the theories, because this is where things get really interesting. My biggest Season 3 theory is that Rhaenyra is about to become far more dangerous than she has ever been before. At the end of Season 2, she already had the numbers, the dragon advantage, and Daemon back on her side. But the trailer makes it feel like she is not just defending a claim anymore, she is stepping into full wartime power. Daemon's line in the trailer about her holding unmatched power feels really important, because House of the Dragon has always been interested in what power does to people when grief and destiny get mixed together. So I think Season 3 could be the season where Rhaenyra stops feeling like the wronged claimant and starts becoming a much more frightening ruler in her own right. My second theory is that Alicent's role is going to become even more tragic. Season 2 ended with Alicent trying to negotiate from a position of moral desperation, not real control. And the trailer seems to continue that feeling. She is still central, but not powerful in the way she once was. I think Season 3 may turn her into one of the show's most tragic figures. Someone who helped build the conditions for war, only to find herself trapped inside the consequences with no real way to stop them. That is part of what makes the Greens so compelling now. Even when they still hold power, it feels like that power is slipping into the hands of more extreme men around Alicent. And then there is Aegon, who I think could become even more dangerous specifically because he is no longer secure. Season 3 coverage says he is fleeing to Braavos and vowing revenge. And that tells me he is not leaving the story as a broken king who fades into the background. He is still a player, but now probably a more bitter and unstable one. That could make him even more unpredictable, especially if the show wants to contrast his desperation with Aemon's cold brutality. I would not be surprised at all if Season 3 pushes the Greens into even deeper internal division, while the war outside gets worse. I also think Season 3 is going to push Daemon back into the center in a big way. Season 2 spent so much time pulling him through visions, prophecy, and inner conflict that the payoff almost has to come now. By the finale, he has recommitted himself to Rhaenyra. So now the question is what kind of Daemon we are getting in war. Is he calmer because of what he saw? Or even more dangerous because he now thinks history is moving exactly where it was always meant to? That is the kind of thing House of the Dragon loves. Not just action, but action driven by belief, ego, grief, and prophecy all at once. So if we are really breaking down House of the Dragon Season 3 trailer explained, the biggest takeaway is this. Season 2 ended with peace finally dying for good. Alicent tried to stop the fall, Daemon returned to Rhaenyra, the armies began moving, and the war became inevitable. Now the Season 3 trailer is promising the payoff. Bigger battles, darker choices, and a much more brutal phase of the Dance of the Dragons. If Season 2 was about positioning the pieces, Season 3 looks like the season where the board starts burning. What do you think Season 3 is really setting up the most? Do you think Rhaenyra becomes more ruthless? Or do you think Alicent's tragedy is going to hit even harder this time? Let's talk about it in the comments, and then you can check out the next video.